I bought my apartment 5 years ago when I was 30. Back then, I was single-focused on my career as a software engineer and proud of what I had accomplished on my own. That downtown apartment was not just a place to sleep. It was my sanctuary, my workspace, and proof that hard work pays off. Then I met Laura at a networking event 2 years ago. She had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and I fell for her warmth and strength. We married after dating for a year, bought a house in the suburbs together for her children, but I kept my apartment. Laura understood it was my personal retreat, or so I thought. When our house needed major renovations, she said the family would stay at a hotel. I left for a 3-day business trip to Denver. What I saw that afternoon when I returned changed everything about my marriage. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever felt like a stranger in your own home, hit that like button, because you will understand exactly what I am about to share. And subscribe so you do not miss how this situation completely turned my life upside down. Let me take you back to how this all started, because the signs were there from the beginning. Laura and I met at a tech industry mixer in the spring, 2 years before all of this happened. She worked in marketing for a mid-sized firm, had been divorced for 3 years, and was raising her son Kyle, who was 14, and daughter Sophia, who was 11. Her ex-husband Marcus was still in the picture because of the kids. They shared custody, and Laura always emphasized how important it was for the children to have both parents involved. I respected that. I had no children of my own, so I entered this relationship, knowing it would be different from anything I had experienced before. We dated for about a year, taking things slowly. I met Kyle and Sophia after 4 months, and they seemed like good kids. A bit spoiled maybe, but what children are not these days? Laura and I got married in a small ceremony with close family and friends. We decided to buy a house in the suburbs somewhere with a good school district and a backyard where the kids could play. I kept my downtown apartment. It was a 1,500 square foot space with floor-to-ceiling windows, a dedicated study where I could work without interruption, and a sense of peace I had built over 5 years of living alone. Laura said she understood. She even encouraged me to keep it, saying every person needs their own space sometimes. Everything seemed fine until our house needed serious work. The plumbing system was outdated, and we discovered electrical issues that required immediate attention. The contractor estimated it would take 2 to 3 weeks to complete everything. Laura suggested the family would stay at a hotel near the kids' school so their routines would not be disrupted. I thought that was a smart plan. I even gave her my credit card and told her to book something comfortable, not to worry about the cost. The timing worked out because I had a mandatory training session in Denver for a new client. I would be gone for 3 days, returning on Friday afternoon. The morning I left, Laura kissed me goodbye and reassured me that everything was under control. She had already booked a suite at a hotel with 2 bedrooms, and the kids were excited about the pool and room service. I felt good knowing my family was taken care of. The trip to Denver went smoothly. I trained the client's team on our new software platform, attended several meetings, and wrapped up everything by Thursday evening. I caught an early flight Friday morning, eager to get back and maybe spend a quiet weekend at my apartment before heading to check on the house renovations. I arrived at my apartment building around 2 in the afternoon. The elevator ride up to the 8th floor felt longer than usual. I was tired, carrying my laptop bag and a small suitcase, thinking about taking a hot shower and ordering some food. I unlocked my door, pushed it open, and immediately heard voices. Laughter. The sound of a television turned up too loud. I stepped into the living room and froze. Kyle was sprawled on my leather couch, controller in hand, playing some kind of racing game on my 65-inch television. Sophia sat at my coffee table, which was covered in colored pencils, markers, and sketch paper. Her art supplies were scattered across the hardwood floor I had just had refinished 6 months ago. I could smell something cooking in the kitchen. Then I saw him, Marcus, Laura's ex-husband. He was sitting in my favorite reading chair, the one I bought from an antique shop in Brooklyn, holding a beer, watching the game on his phone with earbuds in. Suitcases and duffel bags were piled near the hallway, It looked like someone was moving in. Marcus glanced up and pulled out one earbud. He smiled like we were old friends. "Hey man, welcome back. Hope you do not mind us crashing here." I could not speak for a moment. My brain was trying to process what I was seeing. This was not the hotel. This was my apartment. And Marcus, a man I barely knew, and certainly had not invited, was sitting in my home like he owned the place. Laura appeared from the kitchen wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Honey, you are back early. I was just making dinner." She walked over and kissed my cheek like everything was completely normal. I kept my voice low controlled. "Laura, can we talk?" "In private." She looked confused, but followed me into the bedroom. I closed the door behind us and turned to face her. "What is going on? Why is everyone here? Why is Marcus here?" Laura sighed like I was being difficult. "The hotel was way too expensive, Braden. 4 people for 2 weeks. It was going to cost us over $3,000. And then Marcus called saying his apartment building had a termite problem. They had to evacuate everyone for fumigation. He needed a place to stay too. I thought it would be easier and cheaper if we all just stayed here together. It is only temporary." I felt my chest tighten. "You did not think to call me and ask. First, you were busy with your training. I did not want to bother you. Besides, this is temporary. Just a couple of weeks. Marcus is your ex-husband. I am not comfortable with him staying in my apartment." Her eyes narrowed. "He is the father of my children, Braden. Where else is he supposed to go? Are you really going to be that selfish? This is not about being selfish. This is about boundaries. You should have asked me. You are being unreasonable. It is just for a short time. You are acting like I committed some crime." I took a breath, trying to stay calm. I did not want to fight in front of the kids. "Fine, but we need to set some ground rules." Laura's expression softened. "Of course. Thank you for understanding." She kissed me again and went back to the kitchen. I stood there in the bedroom feeling like I had just lost an argument I did not even know I was having. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach, but I pushed it aside. It was temporary. Just a couple of weeks. I could handle it. I had to. The first full day with everyone in my apartment was Monday. I woke up at 6 in the morning, my usual time. I needed to work from home that day because I had back-to-back video conferences starting at 8. But when I went to make coffee, Marcus was already in the kitchen, frying eggs and bacon, using my expensive non-stick pans without asking. He greeted me cheerfully, like we were roommates. "Morning, Braden. Want some breakfast?" "No thanks. I usually just have coffee." I made my coffee and headed to my study, but Kyle was already in there, sitting at my desk, laptop open, attending his online classes. I knocked on the doorframe. "Hey Kyle, I need to use this room for work today." He looked annoyed. "But this is where I have been doing school all week. Where am I supposed to go?" "You can use the dining table." He huffed but gathered his things and left. I set up for my meetings, but the apartment was anything but quiet. Sophia was singing loudly in the bathroom, taking forever to get ready. Marcus was watching a morning talk show at full volume. Laura was on the phone with a contractor, her voice carrying through the thin walls. I put on noise-canceling headphones and tried to focus. By noon I gave up. I could not concentrate. I packed my laptop and went to a coffee shop downtown, spending the rest of the day working from there. When I returned that evening around 7, the apartment looked like a tornado had hit it. Dishes piled in the sink. Food containers left open on the counter. Kyle's video game console and controllers tangled on the floor. Sophia's art project spread across the dining table. Marcus was back in my reading chair, beer in hand, watching basketball highlights. I looked at Laura, who was folding laundry on the couch. "Can we clean up a bit?" She looked exhausted. "I have been running around all day with the kids. Can it wait until tomorrow?" I did not push it. I just went to the bedroom and closed the door. Tuesday and Wednesday were more of the same. I worked from the coffee shop, came home to chaos, tried to keep my frustration in check. But Wednesday night things escalated. I had an important client meeting scheduled for 8 the next morning. I needed to review my presentation and get a good night of sleep. But at 9 o'clock, Marcus showed up with 2 of his friends. They brought a case of beer and 3 large pizzas, settling into my living room to watch a basketball game. The noise was unbearable. Shouting at the television, laughing music playing during halftime. At 10:30, I came out of the bedroom and asked them to keep it down. Marcus barely looked at me. "Relax, dude. It is just one night. The game will be over soon." One of his friends, a guy with a thick beard and a backwards cap, looked around my apartment and said, "Nice place you got here, man. Laura is a lucky lady." I wanted to correct him and say I was the lucky one, or better yet, that this was my place, not Laura's. But I just went back to the bedroom. The game did not end until after 11. I barely slept. Thursday I was exhausted during my meeting, but I managed to get through it. That evening when I got home, I discovered that Sophia had invited 3 of her friends over for a sleepover. Nobody had asked me. The girls were running through the apartment, screaming, playing music, making TikTok videos. It was nearly 2 in the morning before they settled down. I had another early meeting on Friday. Then Friday morning, the worst thing happened. I needed to finish a proposal on my laptop, but Kyle had been using my backup laptop to play games because his tablet battery died. When I went to retrieve it from the living room, I found a large sticky puddle on the table next to it. Kyle had spilled soda. The liquid had seeped under the laptop. I picked it up and tried to turn it on. Nothing. The keyboard was fried. I found Kyle in the kitchen eating cereal. "Kyle, did you spill something on my laptop?" He did not even look up. "Yeah, sorry. It was an accident. That laptop had important files on it. You should have told me immediately." He shrugged. I said sorry. Laura overheard and came to his defense. "Brayden, he is a kid. Accidents happen. Can you not just get it fixed?" "It is not about fixing it. It is about respect. He used my things without asking, and then did not even bother to tell me when he damaged it. You are making a big deal out of nothing. We will replace it if it is that important. But it was not about the money. It was about the principle. I felt invisible in my own home." That evening I tried to have another serious conversation with Laura. "This cannot go on. They are treating my apartment like it is theirs. No one is respecting my space or my things." Laura's patience was wearing thin. "They are just kids. They do not know better." And Marcus? Is he a kid too? He invited his friends over without asking. He has been drinking my beer, eating my food, acting like he lives here. He has nowhere else to go, Brayden. Have some compassion. This was supposed to be temporary. It has been over a week. The renovation is taking longer than expected. The contractor found more issues. What do you want me to do? Kick my children out on the street? I felt the guilt trip working on me, but I pushed back. This is my apartment, Laura. I kept it for myself. I did not sign up for this. She stared at me, her expression hardening. I thought when we got married, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine. But clearly you still see this place as just yours, because it is. I bought it before we even met. Maybe that is the problem, Brayden. Maybe you are not ready to fully commit to this family. Her words stung. But before I could respond, she walked away, leaving me standing alone in the hallway. The following Friday I came home early from a meeting, planning to lock myself in the study and catch up on emails. I opened the door to the study and stopped dead. Marcus was sitting at my desk. My laptop, the backup one I had managed to salvage, was open in front of him. He was scrolling through my emails. Work documents were spread across the desk, some of them confidential client files. "What the hell are you doing in here?" Marcus jumped, startled. "Oh hey, I needed to check some emails. My phone died. This is my private office. You do not just come in here and use my stuff. Especially not my work laptop. Chill out, man." Laura said it was fine. That sentence hit me like a punch. Laura had given him permission. This was not just Marcus overstepping. This was Laura actively allowing him to invade my space. I walked out of the study and found Laura in the kitchen. "We need to talk. Now." I called everyone into the living room. Laura, Marcus, Kyle, and Sophia. They all looked confused, but I did not care anymore. I was done being the accommodating guy, the understanding husband, the pushover. I need to make something very clear, I said, keeping my voice calm but firm. This is my apartment. This is not your family home. Laura's eyes widened. How can you say that? We are your family now. You are my wife, Laura. But this apartment was mine before we got married, and it is still mine now. I have been patient. I have been accommodating. But this has gone too far. Marcus stood up, his chest puffed out. Are you seriously kicking us out? What kind of man does that? Kyle and Sophia started crying. I felt terrible, but I knew I had to stand firm. The renovation on our house should be done by now or very close. You all need to find somewhere else to stay, or go back to the house. Laura's face turned red. You are choosing a stupid apartment over your family. If this is how you feel, maybe we need to rethink this marriage. That threat would have worked on me a week ago, but not now. If standing up for my own boundaries means rethinking this marriage, then maybe we do need to. The room went silent. Laura grabbed her purse. Come on, kids. We are going to dinner. She looked at Marcus. You too. They left, slamming the door behind them. I stood there, my heart pounding, feeling both terrible and relieved. I knew I had done the right thing, even if it hurt. An hour later, I was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing, when I noticed Laura's laptop on the kitchen counter. It was still open. An email notification popped up on the screen. The subject line caught my eye. Property arrangement update. I should not have looked. I knew that. But something in my gut told me I needed to see this. I walked over and opened the email. It was from Marcus to Laura. My blood ran cold as I read. Have you made any progress on getting your name added to the apartment deed? Once it is in both your names, we can use it as collateral for the investment property we talked about, or sell it outright to fund the kids' college. Either way, it is a solid asset. I scrolled up and found Laura's response from 3 days ago. I am working on it. He is still attached to this place, but eventually he will see it as our asset. Give me time. There were more emails. Conversations between Laura and Marcus going back 2 months. They had consulted a real estate agent about the value of my apartment. They had even looked at bigger properties, planning to use the money from selling my place as a down payment. I felt sick. This was not about needing a temporary place to stay. This was a calculated plan. Laura had married me, at least in part, to get access to my assets, and Marcus was helping her. I took photos of every email with my phone. Then I called my lawyer, the one who had helped me with the apartment purchase years ago. He answered on the 3rd ring. Braydon, it has been a while. What can I do for you? I need advice on protecting my property, and I think I need a divorce attorney. I explained everything. He listened carefully, then said, Your apartment is a premarital asset. She has no legal claim to it, but we need to act fast. I recommend you change the locks tonight and document everything. I called an emergency locksmith. He arrived within an hour. By the time Laura, Marcus, and the kids returned from dinner, the locks were changed. I heard them trying their keys, then knocking. I opened the door, but stood in the doorway, blocking their entry. Laura looked confused. What is going on? Why did you change the locks? I know what you have been planning. I saw the emails. Her face went pale. What emails? You went through my private messages. They were open on your laptop. And I am glad I saw them, because now I know the truth. You were not planning to stay here temporarily. You were planning to take ownership of my apartment. Marcus tried to push past me. Listen, man, you are misunderstanding. No, I understand perfectly. You two have been scheming behind my back. Your stuff is packed and waiting in the hallway. You are not coming back in. Laura started crying. How can you do this? Think about the children. I am thinking clearly for the first time. You used me. You used this marriage to get access to my assets. I have already contacted my lawyer. Divorce papers will be filed on Monday. Marcus got angry, his fists clenched. "You are going to regret this." I pulled out my phone. "I am calling the police if you do not leave right now." Marcus backed off. He realized I was serious. Laura made one last attempt. "You are making a huge mistake. You will regret this. The only mistake I made was not seeing who you really were sooner." I closed the door and locked it. I heard them arguing outside, the sound of luggage wheels on the hallway floor, then silence. I leaned against the door, my heart racing, a mixture of emotions flooding through me. Pain, anger, but also relief. I had taken my life back. The apartment felt strange that first night. It was quiet again, but it was not the peaceful quiet I used to love. It was empty, hollow. I did not miss Laura or her family. I missed the idea of what I thought my marriage was. But that idea had been a lie. Monday morning, I met with my lawyer. His name was Gregory, a sharp man in his 50s who specialized in family law. He reviewed the emails I had photographed and nodded. "This is very strong evidence. She clearly intended to fraudulently claim your premarital asset. The court will not look favorably on this. Your apartment is completely protected." "What about the house we bought together? That was purchased after marriage, so it is marital property. It will likely be split or sold." "What do you want?" I thought about it. "Let her keep the house." "I do not want anything that reminds me of this." "That is generous, but make sure you are thinking clearly." "I am. I just want this over with." The divorce process began. Laura hired her own lawyer and tried to fight for a portion of the apartment, claiming she had contributed to the marriage and deserved compensation. Her lawyer argued emotional distress, saying I had cruelly evicted her and the children. But Gregory presented the emails. The judge was not sympathetic to Laura's case. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept my apartment. The house was sold and we split the proceeds 50-50, as required by law. Laura got to keep most of the furniture and household items. I did not care about any of it. I found out through a mutual acquaintance that Laura and Marcus got back together within weeks of our separation. That confirmed what I had suspected. They had probably been planning this for a long time, maybe even before she married me. The first few weeks after everything was finalized were hard. I threw myself into work, staying late at the office, taking on extra projects. I did not want to be alone with my thoughts. But slowly, I started to heal. I called my best friend Tyler and told him everything over drinks one night. He admitted he had seen Laura and Marcus together at a shopping center once, laughing and talking in a way that seemed too familiar for exes. He had not said anything because he did not want to interfere. "I should have told you, man. I am sorry. It is not your fault. I ignored a lot of red flags because I wanted the marriage to work." I started seeing a therapist. She helped me understand that setting boundaries was not selfish. It was necessary. She helped me process the betrayal and recognize that I had done nothing wrong. Laura had targeted me, and I had been vulnerable because I wanted a family. 6 months after the divorce, I redecorated the apartment. New furniture. A fresh coat of paint, in a warm gray, instead of the beige Laura had suggested. I bought new sheets, new towels, everything. I reclaimed my space completely. I started going to the gym regularly, picked up hobbies I had abandoned, reconnected with my brother and parents. They had supported me throughout the divorce, and I realized I had been neglecting those relationships while trying to make my marriage work. I started dating casually, nothing serious. I was not ready to jump into another relationship. I focused on myself, on healing, on learning to trust again. One evening, about 9 months after everything happened, I met someone at a coffee shop. Her name was Emily. She was a graphic designer, funny and kind. We started talking, exchanged numbers, went on a few dates. She respected my need to take things slow. She understood when I said I needed space sometimes. She did not push or demand or try to change me. A year after the divorce, I was sitting in my apartment on a Sunday morning. The sun was streaming through the windows, casting warm light across the room. I had a cup of coffee in my hand, jazz playing softly in the background. I looked around at my space, truly mine again, and felt grateful. I thought about everything I had been through, the manipulation, the betrayal, the confrontation, the pain of divorce. But I did not feel bitter. I felt stronger, wiser. I understood now that compassion does not mean letting people walk over you. Family is important, but so is self-respect. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to say no, to stand up for your boundaries, to protect your peace. I was no longer angry at Laura. I saw the whole experience as an expensive but valuable lesson about human nature, about protecting yourself, about recognizing red flags. I had learned to trust my instincts again. I was dating Emily, taking things slow, being honest about my past and my fears. She listened without judgment. She gave me space when I needed it. And slowly I was learning to open my heart again, but this time with my eyes wide open. Looking back now, I do not regret anything. Not the marriage, not the confrontation, not even the pain, because all of it taught me something invaluable. Your home, your space, your peace, they are not just physical places, they are extensions of who you are. And the moment you let someone disrespect those boundaries, you start losing yourself. I almost lost myself in that apartment, surrounded by people who saw me as a resource, rather than a person. But I found my voice again, and in doing so, I found my way back to myself. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to love yourself enough to walk away. Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with someone you loved? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and share this with someone who might need to hear it. And do not forget to subscribe for more real stories about life, relationships, and finding your way back to yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your peace matters and you are worth protecting. Take care of yourself out there, and remember, home is not just a place, it is a feeling. Make sure the people in your life respect that.